Hey guys, what's going on? It's me, Jay, here to talk a little bit about the situation that is going on with WNBA star Brittney Griner and being detained in Russia. Well, okay, a couple of days ago, about a week or so now, we found out that the WNBA star Brittney Griner was detained at the airport in Russia and was arrested for possession of hashish oil, THC, um, cannabinoid oil, and Russia. And given that what is going on right now between Russia and the United States, this is very dangerous for her. Many people are saying that she could be used as a pawn in in Vladimir Putin trying to goad the United States into war with Russia over the Ukrainian invasion. I said before in another video that I don't believe that the United States should engage in this conflict between two Eastern European nations, Ukraine and Russia. But if someone, of course, is an American citizen like Brittney Griner is, she's from Texas. Um, she's an American citizen, and they won't give her back. And especially if she's innocent, she could be innocent. The cannabinoid oil that they supposedly found on her could be planted on her by the Russian government. It could be a plot by the Kremlin to keep her there. And of course, we're responsible for our American citizens, our troops. We would have to send troops in. We've seen this happen a lot in American history. Really not with really celebrities, really, but with servicemen or people that work in the government. One famous case that we did see it happen with regards to celebrities, was 2017. Now, granted, with Leangelo Ball and was arrested for shoplifting in China. Granted, we weren't actually at war with China or any. We were kind of antagonistic towards China back then in 2017 because of the stuff our president was saying against him and some of the stuff he was trying to goad them into war. But in this case, I believe that she is being used as a pawn by the Russian government to try to goad us into war because really, if I'm Vladimir Putin, what I really want is to finally defeat the United States. That will finally put put an end to this Cold War chapter that people like Vladimir Putin, former KGB people, um, Soviet sympathizers, people that still remember um, the Soviet Union. That's what they really want. They really want to finally get this rematch of the Cold War and finally finish it. They feel like they were defeated. We were never went to war militarily. Went sort of, kind of in proxy wars, but the proxy wars were more like you know Russia backing Syria, or Russia back in the '60s backing, let's say, the Arab countries in the Six Day War, or the Arab countries again in 1973 in the Yom Kippur War. We've seen things. We went to war in situations like that, and of course, 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis. Situations like that um, have happened during the Cold War and even after the Cold War between Russia and the United States. But really, we defeated them economically. You know what I mean? We outspent them, and they had the war in Afghanistan, and that was a blunder for them. That was their Vietnam, and they were not able to recover from that. And by that token, they lost um, all all of the Soviet Union and just became the Russian Federation. And since that time, especially since Putin's been in office, he's not only been trying to reclaim that with invasions in Georgia and invasions in the Ukraine in 2014 and invasions now in the Ukraine, but the best way to reclaim that, I would think, is to try to go do a war directly with the United States. And how do you do that? How do you get um, the United States into a conflict, go them into a conflict? You keep one of their famous celebrities, a high profile person, an Olympian. She's an Olympian. She won the Olympics in 2020. She won the Olympics in 16 in Rio de Janeiro for the women's basketball team. She is by far one of the most accomplished female basketball players, out there. You keep them somebody that's known not only in the United States, maybe not so much known in the United States because of this next point that I'm going to bring up, but she is known internationally. She has competed in the Olympics multiple times, for the women's basketball team. You keep her in your possession under false recognizance and try to go to the United States into war. Many people are talking about she is being used as a pawn. Now, people say, well, what happened to with ASAP Rocky in Sweden, right? But that really wasn't. Sweden is not wasn't antagonistic to the United States. But now, what I want to bring up is why she is not more well known in the United States, and why I feel like female basketball players. I was saying this to Lisa, have to kind of go overseas to play and become accomplished overseas because the WNBA is not given the promotion that the NBA is given. They're not given the same kind of opportunities. They're paid less, and most of all, they don't receive the endorsements by companies, and they don't receive, the promotion on television. NBA is like the second biggest sport here in the United States. NBA basketball, the second biggest sport here in the United States. I would say even more so than basketball. Baseball, behind football. But when it comes to female basketball players, they got to go overseas not only to get the money, but to get the fame and the acclaim. And had we treated her a little bit better here in the United States, she wouldn't have to have gone to overseas to achieve such fame and fortune. As you remember, yes, it's a fictionalized depiction of in the movie Love and Basketball, the character that Sanaa Lathan plays, Monica, she has to go to Spain in order to, get acclaim. The New York team, the New York franchise, the New York Liberty, their lease wasn't even renewed in Madison Square Garden. Now for months and months, they didn't even have a home to play. Now they are thankfully playing in the Barclays Center, but still, it goes to show that since the establishment of the WNBA in 1996, after the tremendous showing that they did in the 1996 Olympics in in Atlanta, Georgia that year, they decided to run with the league. But since that time, the only one that has ever really received promotion and fame, out of that has been Cheryl Swoops. Cheryl Swoops is probably the only one that if I were to ask a ton of people on the street, well, name me one WNBA player besides Brittney Griner because of this international incident now, would probably be, before that, probably be Cheryl Swoops or maybe even Rebecca Lobo, who was on the original 1996 Olympian team. And so people talk about a wage gap, and usually when they talk about a wage gap, they're talking about normal jobs, everyday 9 to 5 jobs, as it were. But there is such a thing as a wage gap and an unfair sexist practices when it comes to promoting, um, female sports, in particular female basketball, because if they gave the females half the shine that um, they give the male basketball players, maybe we wouldn't be in this international incident conundrum that we're in. It's already it makes it worse. We were already antagonistic towards Russia because of what they're doing in the Ukraine, and then having her go over there and then have this happen. Who knows? She probably wasn't even had. She probably didn't even have the oil on her. That's what I say. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But it makes it 10 times worse, in my opinion. A little bit about her personally. She is an LGBT. She is, a lesbian woman, a gay woman. She is married to. Well, she was married twice. The first girl that she was married to, they got a, they had a kid, but they got a divorce. There was some. She was arrested on some domestic disputes, so obviously she deals with some anger issues, and in 2018, 2019 or so, she went in candidly, really, about some of her personal problems and how she deals with anger issues. So it could be that if she did have this, that she was, using it therapeutically. People have used weed therapeutically. You know, Nowadays, come on, the stigma to the weed and cannabinoid oil is gone. You see a lot of celebrities like T-Boz from TLC and stuff promoting it for different reasons. But Brittany went into Brittany went into, her anger issues, her anger, emotional issues, being teased as a kid, of course, being larger than all the other girls, and dealing with, things, issues related to sexuality. So, and she dealt with this domestic dispute with a fellow WNBA player. She the other her first wife's name was Glory Johnson, and the new wife's name is Cheryl Watson, who changed her name to Cheryl Griner. Apparently, um, of the WNBA players, she did receive a Nike endorsement, so she is one of those that is well known. I don't follow basketball, and I don't unfortunately follow the WNBA, so but she is well known, you know, among among that. You know what I mean? She received a lot of endorsements, from Nike. One of the things that's interesting about her is that she and another teammate called for the stoppage of the use of the national anthem in regards to protest of George Floyd's death in 2020. You know, that was a big thing in 2020, and she stood up for that politically, like a lot of other basketball players, both in the WNBA and the NBA. So, because of that, maybe the State Department might be a little bit hesitant to wanna release her because they feel like, oh well, she wasn't sticking up for the United States anyway at that time. So, I mean, I hope they don't. I hope they release her. But sometimes the way our government thinks, with regards to certain celebrities that don't act the way they want to act, like for example, Colin Kaepernick, how he was blacklisted. You know what I mean? So that's a little bit about her personal life. She's had a tremendously tumultuous personal life, and we don't know really about, maybe, like I said, she was using the weed for medicinal purposes. Maybe she wasn't even using weed. Maybe that's just something Russia's making up to try to goad us into war. But hopefully, if she's not released, because I read on the article that some of the sentences in Russia for this kind of stuff could be like 5 years, 10 years, 6 years, 20 years. Tremendously big sentence. Long sentences. She could be doing a lot of time, but hopefully, the State Department acts on her behalf and says, she's an American citizen. Why don't you try her here? She's an Olympian. She's represented the United States. She's an international star, one of the better, well-known WNBA celebrities. Why don't you try her here? And she's released. If not, it could turn into something ugly. But anyway, guys, that's all I got to say about this. And my last statement is free Britney, leave Britney alone, and hopefully they get her out from that terrible situation. Vladimir Putin, stop bullying Brittney Griner. Love you guys. Peace. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe or whatever. Have a lovely day. And I want to thank Lisa for these hashtags. Sometimes not as creative with the hashtags, but Lisa always comes with the fire hashtags, the good ideas. Peace.